Defining Diabetes is made possible by Dexcom, Omnipod, and Dancing for Diabetes. Please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise, and to always consult a physician before becoming bold with insulin or making any changes to your medical plan. I want to define pre-bolus, Jenny, because I believe that if you just pre-bolus, you can knock about a point off your A1C. It's not the first step when I talk to people. The first step is always, we need to get your basal insulin right. But pre-bolusing is incredibly important.
Mm-hmm.
People don't do it for what I think of as probably two basic reasons. One is no one ever explained to them what it was, which is fascinating. And the second one is they'll say, I don't eat on a schedule. I'm a free-loving person. I'm all cool and hip and everything about my life is free and easy. And it's hard for me to tie myself down, man. Like that's kind of it, right?
Right.
Then they'll complain about their blood sugar being high for 5 hours in the fight they were in. I was like, we just need 5 seconds worth of focus about 15 minutes before you eat. So Let's define pre-bolus first.
So pre-bolusing essentially is when you take insulin at a set time before, keyword there, before actually starting to take your first bite of food. It allows time for our poorly named rapid acting insulin to get more active in the system because food, specifically carbs, have very quick impact. The saliva in your mouth starts to break things down so that when it gets to your gut, it's going to be easier even to break down. So taking insulin before you start to eat, goal being about 15 minutes, give or take, but a 15-minute rule of thumb to start with if you've never been doing it and you're hearing this and like, oh, let's give that a try. 15 minutes is a good rule of thumb.
To start with. And then you can find, and I tell people all the time, you can use your CGM to figure out your pre-bolus time. Yeah. Some people will be like, it's longer, it's shorter, whatever. I don't know what yours is going to be. But you can get your blood sugar stable at a lower number, right? Like 130, nice and stable at 130 for a couple hours, get all the insulin out of you, then hit yourself with a bolus that you think is going to take you to 90 and see how long it takes for that to start moving.
Right.
Once your blood sugar starts moving, that distance of time is about what your pre-bolus is. I just saw something. So I Googled it, right, while you were speaking. I was going to do that thing where I'm like, Jenny, now I'm going to read the definition from the internet. And the seriously saddest thing happened, and I'm not joking. The second return for the words pre-bolus definition are from Arden's day in the Juicebox Podcast. I can't be...
Really?
How is that possible?
That's awesome.
Well, awesome. No, it's not awesome. It should be like coming from like 9 hospitals and like doctors and like...
Well, I'm saying that it's awesome that it's there at all.
But the point is that what this Google search just told me is that nobody tells people about this. It's literally not.
Are there any hospitals? Are there any hospitals that are even listed on your Google search? Are there any like therapeutic?
2 blogs.
No.
Mine. And then the next one that pops up is a definition for the word bolus, and it says missing pre. So it's not even pre. Yeah, there's 3 things here that say pre-bolus on it.
Interesting.
And one of them is somebody saying, I can't seem to do very well with my meal boluses. And it's somebody just complaining about pre-bolus. The word definition is excluded from the search. So I am the only search that has the word pre-bolus. And it's because on my blog posts, I have some of them tagged because they're about pre-bolusing.
Sure.
But it's just really sad. Like, listen, I did not set this up. I wish I did because I'd be a genius. But I really got sad like when I saw it. I mean, there's a Wikipedia entry that's even not helpful. It says a pre-bolus of insulin can combine a meal bolus and a correction bolus when the blood sugar is above the target range before a meal. That's not accurately what a pre-bolus is.
And that's not at all.
The timing of the bolus is a controllable variable to bring down the blood sugar level before eating again causes it to increase.
That's entirely wrong.
None of that's right. That's so sad. Okay.
I never look at Wikipedia for anything.
Well, yeah, that's not... I'm just saying that's the only other thing that popped up.
But that's,
That's so sad.
Right.
Okay, so we'll change that. I'm going to... You know what, Jenny?
Okay.
I'm going to take this audio and I'm going to build a web page. It's just about pre-bolus. And I'm going to make sure I'm going to get people to write blog articles about it. And I'm going to turn it into a thing because Guys, listen, here's my definition of a pre-bolus, and I'm sure Jenny just said the same thing I'm about to say. Pre-bolusing or pre-injecting or whatever you want to call it it's not really not if you really think about it. If insulin does not go into your system and start working right away, right? Say it all the time. It's not a light switch. You don't just flip a switch and it happens. Insulin takes a while to work.
Mm-hmm.
You need the impact that insulin is having on your blood sugar to coincide with the food or your, anything else that's trying to make your blood sugar rise. You want to get involved in a fair fight. And I guess this is as good a place of time as to say it is all, it is as, oh my gosh, I don't even know what I was just trying to say there. This is a good place to say this. It's a tug of war that you don't want either side to win. And if you just yell go and let both sides start pulling, both sides being insulin on one side and carbs or body function on the other, if you just yell go, carbs and body function are always going to win because it takes a while for your insulin to come online. You need to put the insulin in your body sooner so that it comes online when the carbs start pulling. So that instead of the rope getting jerked all the way on one side, and now your carbs are winning this tug of war greatly, then all of a sudden your insulin comes online and starts pulling, but by then it's too weak because you only bolused for the carbs you counted. You did not bolus for the momentum that the carbs now have or the distance between your target blood sugar and where it is now. You were 90 when you put the insulin in. Now you're 150, your blood sugar's shooting up. You have this momentum you have to stop. You have to bring the number back and you have to cover the food, but you only put in insulin for the food. But if you put that insulin in for the food in time for it to begin working when the carbs try to pull on that rope, then the carbs can't move the rope because the insulin's at its power then and it's fighting back. So when you see somebody with a straight line on their CGM online, that's what's going on behind the scenes. The insulin and the carbs are embroiled in a battle that neither of them can win, right? And then they get tired, they drop the rope, and the center of the rope is right where it started. And that's how my weird brain thinks about bolusing. So
it's a very good example. The tug of war I've used several times since you mentioned it because it's a very easy way to consider what your goal is in using a pre-bolus. Yeah. It's very easy to comprehend, even for kids.
Right.
It's very easy to comprehend a game of tug of war, 100%.
Here it goes for sports fans. Soccer fan, it's not pre-bolusing, it's like playing without a goalie. Are you a baseball fan? It's like hitting off a little leaguer. Are you a football fan? It's like not having an offensive line and expecting your quarterback not to get sacked. Basketball, imagine they raise the hoop to 50 feet, right? Like these are the situations you're putting yourself in if you're not pre-bolusing. And I'm telling you right now, this podcast is incredibly helpful. I mean that, and I think you'll find it to be helpful. But if you just pre-bolused, you're going to get an A1C reduction. That's it. I mean, the rest of it is hugely important, but this is 1B in steps. It's understanding your basal insulin, which technically is pre-bolusing, right? Having the right basal is nothing more or less than having your basal insulin be at the right power at the right time. Being, pre-bolusing is having your meal insulin at the right power at the right time. Okay. I can't give away all the secrets or there won't be a podcast.
Not true. There's always something to discuss with diabetes.
That's definitely not true. Jenny Smith is not just the delightful voice you hear on the Juicebox Podcast. She's also a real live person with a job, and she works at Integrated Diabetes. If you'd like Jenny to help you in your personal journey with type 1 diabetes, go to integrateddiabetes.com, find Jenny's profile, and send her an email. There's also links right here in the show notes about, how you can do that. I think there's actually even a link there to her email. And there's a brief description of her, bona fides, why it is you might want to give Jenny a ring. Thanks so much to the sponsors, Dexcom, Omnipod, and Dancing for Diabetes. There are links in your show notes at juiceboxpodcast.com where you can find out more about the Dexcom G6 continuous glucose monitor, figure out what's going on at dancingfordiabetes.com, and order a free, no-obligation pod experience kit. That's right, a free, no-obligation demo of the Omnipod.